Hey Blue Devils, welcome back to World Changer 101. My name is Renaya Bannett, and today I'm going to be interviewing a 2021 Shortridge alumni and a marketing and communications intern at the International Center, Amelie Zirnheld. Before we start, students, if you have any questions for our speaker today, please use the QR code that can be found in your classroom or around the hallway. So with that being said, welcome Emily.
Hi, thank
So,
you.
so let's start off with a few questions about what you do. Can you start off by telling us a little about your position as a marketing and communications intern at the International Center and what the International Center is?
Sure. So I'll start with what the International Center is. It's a non-for-profit that essentially connects Indiana to abroad. They provide relocation services, trainings. They might meet with a company to educate them on another culture that they're going to be working with. They do all kinds of things. And so I'm on the marketing communications side, which means I do more of like the soft skills. So I helped start making the blog more consistent. So I do blog writing, and I helped post social media. I participated in the planning of an event called the International Citizen of the Year (ICY), which was held at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway back on October 3rd. And so I've gotten to experience a lot of different parts of the communications and marketing sphere in terms of a nonprofit.
How long have you been working at the International Center?
So I'm doing a fall internship. So I actually started in mid-September, which isn't normal. I joined later than the rest of the cohort. I wasn't the latest, but later than the rest of the cohort. And then my internship will be ending coming up soon on December 8th.
So far, has the International Center taught you anything that you didn't know before?
Yes. It taught me how to behave in an office setting. You know how to be professional to an extent from school and from college, but there is something different for sure about being in an office setting and conducting yourself in a specific way, whether it's introducing new ideas, asking questions, organizing yourself to do your work. It's just different.
Did you know that working at the International Center or somewhere similar was something that you always wanted to do?
It's not something that I always knew I wanted to do, but I did grow up bilingual, so I'm a dual citizen of France and America. So my dad is French, and so I grew up speaking French, which meant I had an interest in language. I then studied Spanish in high school and middle school, and then ASL here at IUPUI. And so I knew I wanted to do something with language. And when I was looking for internships for this fall, I saw the International Center and saw it as an opportunity to increase my global awareness and look into what I could potentially do internationally with the communications scene and my multiple languages.
What's your favorite language to speak?
I'm the most fluent in English, but I have a lot of fun speaking French when I come across someone who speaks French.
Have you ever attended any of the events at the International Center has thrown?
I hadn't attended any of the events that specifically the International Center had thrown prior to my internship. The International Citizen of the Year was the first International Center event that I had attended, but I had been to some events that they sponsored. There is something called the Festival Fund that they offer, which is a grant that groups can apply for when organizing events like Global Fest, which is an event celebrating all kinds of different cultures in a neighborhood close to me. And so I had attended that.
What event would you look forward to going to?
Right now, in terms of what's in my sphere, I'm not helping plan any big events soon, but the International Citizen of the Year event is a fun one to do. There's a lot of lead up. It also involves the Global Impact Award, so an up-and-coming young person in Indiana who is doing work that has a global impact. And so that kind of gets like put into the International Citizen of the Year celebration. So there's a lot of opportunity to create content and engage and foster engagement leading up to that event. It's like the biggest fundraising event of the year for them.
What inspires you to want to learn more about different cultures?
Honestly, going to Shortridge, the IB curriculum and just the culture at Shortridge was very encouraging of considering different perspectives and exploring cultures. And as someone who has had the privilege to travel growing up, and then also who has connected with people of different nationalities who speak different languages with speaking 3-4 languages, it was just something that I was drawn to.
Can you talk to us about your upcoming webinar spotlight in Indiana connection with Ukraine?
Yes. So that's my capstone project for my internship. So the Indiana-Ukraine webinar is a continuation of a series of Indiana connections. And essentially what we're doing is we're highlighting communities in Indiana, specifically like the Indianapolis area, that have links to Ukraine. So an example, one of our speakers runs a Ukrainian story hour at the Indianapolis Public Library. Another one helps with relocation services, language services, assisting migrants, immigrants, and there's just a wide scope of how Indiana is connected to Ukraine. And we want to showcase that and invite our audience to participate, whether that's through donation or through participation in those communities.
If a student wanted to follow a similar field like yours, what would you suggest them to do to get started on their journey?
Oh man, I mean, I'm a junior at IUPUI, so I'm not very far along in my career, but I would say keep exploring. You keep following your interests. If you specifically want to go into communications, there are a lot of really fun classes in college for communication students where you can start to specialize or just find a niche that's fun to discuss. And then once you start doing internships, you can do the same thing. Look for internships that make you excited about going to work or makes you excited to interview. You really want to be there.
So, looking back to when you were at Shortridge, how was your experience?
I liked my experience at Shortridge. I will say I am class of 2021, meaning my junior and senior year were COVID. So March of my junior year, everything just kind of stopped and nothing went back to close to normal until my last semester, so second semester senior year. But I definitely enjoyed my time at Shortridge. It's interesting because my freshman year was the last year that there were fewer than 1,000 students. There were 400 students in the building, and so it was a very different culture than the next year and a half when we had the schools merge and had 1,000 some students in the building. And the culture really shifted over time, but I always appreciated the culture that Shortridge maintained, especially with the IB program. That was very valuable for me.
We learned that you were a part of our theater department when you were here. What was one of your favorite musicals that you did?
I'm a total theater kid. It was great being part of the theater program. My favorite role that I played was Sally Brown in You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown. I just got to like stomp around the stage like a 4-year-old. I mean, she's crazy. She's a crazy character. And then the play that we did that that next semester. So that was the fall musical. The spring play was She Kills Monsters, and that was very meaningful for me because I got to be a fight captain and learn all kinds of stage combat and really dig into a complex role for one of the first times in my career. So I'm really grateful to the Shortridge Theater program for giving me those opportunities at school.
I'm a theater kid too.
Yeah.
Since you graduated with a 3.9 GPA and you are currently a junior at IUPUI studying towards your bachelor's in communications, do you think you could give some advice for students?
Academically? I would say you hear everyone say, don't procrastinate, all that. Yes, but also find a workflow that works for you. I've recently talked to my friends about how when I write, I like to just put anything that's inside my brain on the page so there's something there because the blank page is just really daunting. And the hardest part will always be starting. And then you can move your ideas around, or if you're doing something math-based, you can find a starting point to answer your own questions and just delve into it. So keep in mind that the hardest part is starting, and you are capable of it. If you procrastinate every once in a while, forgive yourself. It's not the end of the world. Try your best. That's all you can do.
Why is the webinar you are hosting an important part of your learning process?
So for me, the learning process is twofold. One is community outreach and engagement. So my creating materials to go out to the community, a flyer to post at universities, emails to schools, inviting them to share the link with their students. And then also on the other side, marketing the event, creating an event theme. So the colors that we're using to promote it and everything, and sticking to that while still making every post unique. So if you go on the International Center's page, we're spotlighting each speaker as well as the moderator. And you'll notice the design is very similar, but we moved the orientation of things around. And so I've had fun learning how to do that in design.
Are there any teachers here you want to give a shout out to?
Sure. I'm not sure who's still there. I know Mr. Coldstein just went to Brazil. Ryberg, Weingartner, Hutchinson come to mind. Yeah, I'm grateful to all of you. I don't know who's still there. I think I saw, I'm not sure about Coriel, but Miss Garner, everyone, if you taught me, thank you. I look back on my experience at Shortridge in terms of looking at the teachers in a very positive light. So, hi, and I miss you and cool. I don't know.
Something interesting we learned about you is that you're a stilt walker. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Sure. So I am a stilt walker. I learned for the Indianapolis Zoo in 2022. I originally just auditioned for a ground part for Christmas, and then they called me and asked if I would be interested in being trained to stilt walk. I said yes. It was a crazy opportunity. They trained me. I ended up buying my own stilts and then re-auditioning the next year to be a stilt walker. So I've done that 2 years in a row now, and now since I own my own stilts, I've been able to incorporate that into this kind of Christmas variety show I'm in right now, where I walk on stilts as a Christmas tree. So it's just a fun little skill that I've been able to carry with me and continue to work on over the past 2 years.
How was it to learn how to walk on stilts?
It's definitely difficult at first. It depends on how high up you are. I mean, you'll go one level and you'll be like, great, I know how to do it. And then they'll put you on another level, whether it's higher or lower, and you forget how to move, at least initially. But once you get the hang of it, it feels very natural. Honestly, the biggest challenge for me this year has been making sure they're secured properly on my legs and feet because it connects to your calf too. So as long as all the straps are tight, then it won't move and it feels very stable. And I mean, I've seen one of our trainers this year showed us a video of him playing soccer on stilts, which like with other circus performers also on stilts playing soccer, and I was surprised that they could walk on grass. So
What made you want to continue to be a stilts walker?
it was a fun scale. When I bring it up to people, it's kind of a double take. It's something that's definitely a conversation starter, but it also is just fun. It's unconventional. It's just another hobby that I can do. It actually led me to explore more circus apparatuses. So after my first time stilt walking for the zoo, I was looking into other places I could stilt walk, and then found Cirque Indy, which is a circus school downtown, and started learning aerial silks and the aerial sling, which was really fun. I haven't been in several months, unfortunately, because I'm very busy and a college student, but it definitely opened a door to more opportunities.
That's really cool. We also learned that you have a black belt in martial arts. What made you want to learn martial arts?
I started karate when I was 8. I'm the youngest of 3 siblings, so my 2 older brothers, I have 2 older brothers. The oldest started karate when he was 8, and he's 4 years older than me. And so once I was old enough to join, I just did, and then the middle brother joined after me. But it was an activity that it kept me physically active, but it was also a very social thing, and it taught me leadership. I started teaching when I was 9. So once I got my brown belt, which is 3 belts away from black belt, it's kind of your 1.5-year countdown to black belt once you get it. So once I got the brown belt, I started teaching, and there were just all different kinds of ways to engage. And I kept doing it. I was more on and off the older I got, but one summer I spent a summer as my sensei's kind of assistant. So every one of her camps, gymnastics and karate, I was helping out with, and it taught me a lot about wrangling kids and adjusting to people's different learning styles.
Do you still practice karate?
Not currently, but I'm not opposed to going back.
To close out, do you have any pieces of advice you want to give Shortridge students?
Oh man. I mean, just keep going. You're doing great. Don't be afraid to wander if you don't know what you want to do after high school. That's okay. Just keep exploring. If you want to take a semester off or a gap year or not go to college and go into the workforce and wait till you have something you really do want to study, that's okay. There are all kinds of paths after high school. So don't be afraid to wander.
Thank you. Well, we thank you, Emily, for joining us today on World Changing 101. We are very glad we got to speak to someone who is an alumni. Blue Devils, make sure you tune in next week for our next World Changing 101. Bye.